Today, I'm going to set up and try the new Sparx Samurai. Samurai helps you deburr your sharpened skates, and I'll briefly cover what deburring is in case you're completely new to Sparx. Then I'll show you how to get this Samurai set up, I'll test it out, and we'll discuss where it ranks within the list of Sparx accessories. And this video is sponsored by Rinkmaster, but more on them later. Deburring is the process of removing a burr from a freshly sharpened skate. And that burr is the rough edge that you'll feel after sharpening as you pull your fingers up along the face of the runner. And you need to remove this for your edges to have the best contact with the ice. Removing that burr almost always involves using some sort of abrasive material and or leather strop. For regular steel, you typically use a stone along the side of the blade to remove that burr, being careful not to roll over and dull that edge. For coated steel, I like to use this gummy stone, plus the leather afterwards. Deburring is essential. It's a relatively easy but manual process. The Sparx Samurai is supposed to make deburring better, faster, and safer. Now let's see how it works. In the box, we've got a few parts. This is the deburring disc, and it's going to act as the abrasive. You can think of it as basically a spinning gummy stone. You've got a massive power cord, then you've got the Samurai itself. And the Samurai ships with a 3mm skate guard, which is going to work for regular steel, but not for goalie steel. If you turn the Samurai over, you can plug in the power cord and route it through one of these channels. Then we need to install the disc. To do so, we first need to remove the tray. On the side, under the power button, press the red release button inwards, and then pull the tray away from the bottom. This sticker here reminds you to reset the dial when installing the disc, so make sure your adjustment knob is set to this arrow here. While you do that, you'll actually see this spindle mechanism move, so that's how the adjustment knob will create more or less friction later. To install the new disc, hold the spindle lock button. This will keep the spindle from rotating. There's a groove in the back of the disc that accepts this crossbar, so we'll push that onto the spindle, turn it a quarter turn to lock it, then release it forward. To put the catch tray back on, it's easiest if you align the left edge, then rotate the right edge until it clicks back into the unit. To start spinning the deburring disc, simply turn the Samurai on. Before we run our skates through, we need to dial in the adjustment knob. Let me explain it before I do it. The deburring disc is going to wear down over time. So like I showed you, turning this knob to the right will bring the disc closer to the correct spot along the skate guide where it will effectively deburr. This disc is supposed to last for 200 pairs. So your adjustment knob will be in this area at the start when the disc is fresh, and it will be in this area at the end when it's time to replace it. You set this adjustment each time that you use Samurai, but to find the sweet spot, you slowly turn the knob right until the disc is making contact with the metal inside the skate guide. Then you turn back to the left one click. It's hard to see that metal edge on camera, but if you pop the skate guide out, this is what the disc is hitting when you hear that sound start. After you've sharpened, you're now ready to deburr. Sparx says that each skate should only need 2 passes, 1 per side. You always come in from the right, and you want to try to angle the toe into the guide before flattening out. Then, you want to angle the heel out of the skate guide when finishing your pass. Similar thing when you flip your skate around to do the other side. So how good of a job does it do, and who is Samurai best for? The results are pretty solid in my testing. I was finding that I needed 2 passes per side to better hit the toes and the heels, and for really stubborn burrs, doing it by hand was still the best way to work those out in the few spots that they persisted. Because I came in skeptical, the speed and ease is more compelling than I thought it would be, but it'll take some practice to hit those toes just right. Answering who this is best suited for is a trickier question. Right now, $249 USD is the intro price, and it's set to increase to $299 later. Some earlier version of Samurai has already existed in the Sparx commercial product line for some time now, so that's your clue. Samurai is most helpful when you're sharpening a large volume of skates. Like I said at the start, deburring is important and it takes a bit of effort, but it's not all that difficult or even time consuming. So this consumer version is really aimed at families who are going to be doing a lot of skates all at once, or want to be more safe, or maybe for some power users that typically sharpen multiple pairs at once. This is potentially my use case, especially during pond hockey season. I like to review all of the Sparx accessories. That's why I ordered Samurai, but this one doesn't feel like a strong fit for me. After my testing, there's 5 other important considerations to know, but first, a quick shout out to sponsor Rinkmaster. Right now I've got no pond, and I've got no roller rink, but when I do, I head out there with the Rinkmaster pond nets. They're super sturdy, the short one lives in my car most of the year, and I'm excited to finally get these 6-footers out on the ice when I can. Check out Rinkmaster's website to see all of their rink kits, their rink equipment, the pond nets, and more. The 5 other important things to consider before buying a Sparx Samurai are this. Number 1, the Elite stand takes Samurai from the desk to a vertical position, but it's another $100 and it's sold separately. And no matter whether you place your Samurai upright or flat on your work surface, consider that you'll need some extra room if you want to leave it out next to your sharpener. 2, Sparx says that you need to use the universal blade holder when using Samurai. That holder is $100, and I'll link my video to it. The regular blade holder can still technically pass through the Samurai skate guide, but it's even more difficult to deburr the toe and heels that way, so I agree with Sparx here, you're going to want this. Might be a bummer for you if you only have the original. Number 3, if you want to sharpen thicker 4mm goalie steel, you need to purchase the 4mm skate guide for an extra $15. Interestingly, the how-to video incorrectly states that the 4mm guide comes included, but even those guides are on back order. My guess is that Samurai may ship out with both guides once the price hikes back up to $300, but perhaps they just weren't able to coordinate the full product rollout in time. Number 4, it's tough for me to know anything about the build quality or longevity here. The deburring discs are supposed to last for 200 pairs. That's obviously difficult for me to test. Replacement discs are $60, so the price per sharpening is much lower than the grinding wheels. You don't get any kind of case here like you do with beam, so if you're someone who plans to put this away and then take it out when you want to sharpen, that might be annoying. Overall, it feels like a Gen 1 product. It does the job, and there's certainly value to some segment of the customers. On one hand, I really like how Sparx launches even hardware products in this iterative fashion. On the other hand, some people will expect a more premium feel. The branding and adjustment dial markers are a sticker decal. Needing to purchase a separate skate guide as a goalie would feel silly, and while it's fine for the garage, it's a little messier for inside the house than I would want. Finally, where does it rank among other accessories? My most popular comments are still from people debating whether or not to finally buy a Sparx. So if you're already on the fence about buying the sharpener because of the price, Samurai obviously isn't for you, at least on day 1. If you're debating between beam and Samurai, maybe that's a harder choice. Potentially use the sharpener for a period of time without either, and then choose. If you want to add one up front, Samurai may bring you some more ease, whereas beam might be more helpful in a pinch. They're both only nice to haves in my opinion. Once you've deburred, you can check to make sure your edges are even. Watch this video to learn more about beam versus the edge checker. Or check out this video if you don't yet have a Sparx, but want to know more before buying. Thanks for watching, and big thanks to Rinkmaster for sponsoring this video. I'll link their store in the video description down below.